Hello everyone, my name is Myra and in today's video I will be talking about Terraform. So I have been working on Terraform for about a few years now and I have really good experience in it. So I decided to make a video on Terraform, let you guys know about what is Terraform, why do we use it, how do we use it, and what are its benefits and advantages of using Terraform. So starting off, what is Terraform? Terraform is actually an open source tool created by HashiCorp, which is an infrastructure as a code tool. So what comes in your mind when you think of infrastructure as a code? I mean, you probably heard about infrastructure as a code in the DevOps field, in the cloud itself. So infrastructure as a code is when you use code, when you write code to deploy and create infrastructure. So Terraform is a really powerful tool that lots of people use nowadays. So Terraform is a declarative coding tool. So a declarative coding tool is in which you will only describe the result and the end state of what you want, but you won't describe how you want it. So it's a declarative programming and coding tool, and it uses HCL, which is HashiCorp configuration language. It's pretty simple to use once you get to learn it and once you get the hands-on practice on it. Otherwise, it's not that difficult to start with Terraform and learn. So Terraform has a really simple syntax, and you can deploy resources and infrastructure on cloud or even on-premise data centers. So it's really simple to use and a lot of people are using it nowadays, and especially it helps in the automation of your infrastructure. So once you've created an infrastructure on Terraform, you can not only modify your infrastructure, update your infrastructure, and you can make any changes in your infrastructure just by making a few changes in your code. So it's a really good tool to use and very easy to learn. So let's come to the question, why infrastructure as a code? Why use Terraform? So as I just mentioned, Terraform is a really powerful automation tool, and you can create lots of infrastructure and resources and services through it. So it's not only one platform based. You can deploy resources in lots of platforms, may it be AWS, Azure, GCP, and even on-premise data centers. So it's a really cool and powerful automated tool, and it has few benefits of saying why we should use infrastructure as a code nowadays. So the first benefit is improving speed. So through Terraform, you can quickly deploy resources and infrastructure. You won't have to manually go into each of your platforms and that create those infrastructure and resources. All you have to do is just simply write the code, run a few commands, and your infrastructure or your service or your resource is then created quickly. So the speed is a really great benefit of using Terraform. The second good benefit of using infrastructure as a code is it improves reliability. So by that I mean, for example, you have a really big company and you have really big infrastructure. I mean, you cannot actually remember each and every resource you created manually in the console. For example, if I talk about AWS. So for example, you have a huge AWS environment and you have so many resources, databases and S3 buckets, and you have RDS instances and stuff. Now you need to control them. So through Terraform, you can reliably control them, and you can make any changes quickly and efficiently. So that's a really great benefit of Terraform. So another really great benefit of infrastructure as a code is that you can really use it for testing and automating. Now, for example, you're using AWS and you want to just test out how to create an RDS read replica, for example. So now, rather than going into the console, doing it manually, and then not knowing the configurations, the exact configurations, and it will take a lot of time for you to manually test it out. You can simply use an infrastructure as a code tool, and especially Terraform, and you can just quickly create that RDS instance in seconds, and that won't even take you that much time. You can simply just use a small piece of code that's creates an RDS instance, and then you're good to go to test it out. So again, it has some really great benefits of infrastructure as a code, and Terraform, with its really growing and expanding popularity, it's a really great tool to use. Now comes to the question, why use Terraform? I mean, for infrastructure as a code, you also have other options available. For example, in AWS, you have CloudFormation. However, when it comes to Terraform, which is by HashiCorp, why use Terraform? So the first really good benefit of using Terraform is that it's open source, and it's an open source tool, and many developers and communities contribute to it. So it's really helpful to actually make any new changes, learn new things, and then use it as an open source tool. So the second benefit of using Terraform is that it's platform agnostic. That means that Terraform is not bound to only one platform. You can use it with many platforms. You can use it with AWS, as I mentioned, like Azure, GCP, Heroku, like all the different platforms. It's not bound to one. For example, if you talk about CloudFormation of AWS, it's only bound to AWS. You cannot deploy resources outside of AWS. However, with Terraform, you can deploy resources in AWS and all other different platforms, and it's really easy to control and use. So now moving on, let's see what is inside of Terraform. So one major aspect of Terraform is Terraform modules. So Terraform modules are actually a piece of code that you can provision again and again to deploy resources easily and efficiently. So instead of creating a resource and writing its code all the time, you can simply get a module for that resource, use that code, and just make those minor configuration details, add those variables, make those name changes and the details that you want to differ. So once that is done, you can just simply run the module and it will create that resource for you. So there are three main Terraform commands. The first one is Terraform init. So Terraform init actually initializes your code. So for example, you're using a module, an S3 module, to create an S3 bucket in AWS. So once you're done with the module in your code, you can simply run Terraform init. So that will just initialize your module and it will let you know that you're good to go. The second command of Terraform is Terraform plan. So Terraform plan comes after Terraform init. So once your code has been initialized, once your module has been initialized, Terraform will give you a plan. So that plan shows you all the changes that will happen and take place. So for example, you were creating an S3 bucket. In the plan, it will show you that, this resource, this S3 bucket will be created. It has this configurations. It has these tags. It has this configuration. It has this name. It has all these details. So the Terraform plan is really helpful to know what infrastructure change you will be making, what infrastructure resource you will be creating, or what resource will you be destroying. So there are three main parts of the plan. One is change, one is create, and one is destroy. So if you're creating a resource, it will let you know I'll be creating this resource. If you're destroying and deleting the code, it will let you know that I'm destroying this resource. And if you're making any change into a resource, for example, you're just changing the instance size of an EC2 instance or instance size of an RDS instance, it will let you know I will be updating this specific resource. So it will let you know everything in detail in the Terraform plan. And once the Terraform plan is good to go, you're like, yes, the plan is good, I want this to be implemented, then you will run the command Terraform apply. So once you run the Terraform apply, it will actually run and implement your Terraform plan. So if in the Terraform plan it was creating 3 S3 buckets, once you run Terraform apply, it will create those 3 S3 buckets for you in AWS. So it's a really powerful tool, and these commands are really helpful, and you'll be using them all the time if you get into Terraform. So moreover, in your Terraform code, you have a lot of Terraform files. Those Terraform files can vary for your resource. So for example, I usually personally use Terraform to create infrastructure on AWS, Amazon Web Services. Now for that, I have created S3 buckets, RDS instances, IAM users and policies. I've created EC2 instances. I've created a lot of resources. So for each resource, I have actually created a separate .tf file, which is a .terraform file. So I have in my code an rds.tf, an s3.tf, an im.tf, and an ec2.tf. So you know all those different Terraform files to actually manage your infrastructure and manage your Terraform code, so that you don't have all those resources in one file, that it gets really complicated. So it's a really good best practice to have different Terraform files for each of your major resources, like, you know, separate them so that you don't get confused and it's easy to, you know, manage them. So another thing I can talk about are Terraform providers. So Terraform providers, I actually just think about them as like Terraform plugins to actually connect to different platforms. So for example, if you want your Terraform to be connected to AWS, you're going to be creating a AWS provider in your Terraform code. So that's also pretty simple to make. If once you open Terraform documentation, they are already the providers and their code given, so they are really easy to use them and it's not that difficult. You can find providers for, you know, AWS, Azure, many other cloud platforms, and not only cloud platforms but also other really great tools and platforms that you can actually have implemented in Terraform and connect them with Terraform to deploy different infrastructure. So this will be the end of the video. I hope you guys liked me telling you guys about Terraform, what is Terraform, what are its benefits, what's actually inside of Terraform and how do you use it, and what are its basic main commands, and you know how do we write the code and how does it implement itself and create those infrastructure and resources that you want. So hope this was helpful for you. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and also share this video, and stay tuned for further videos. I will also be creating more videos on Terraform, like hands-on tutorials on Terraform, so stay tuned for that. So yeah, also don't forget to comment down below if you like this video, if this was helpful for you, what other videos do you want us to make on, and yes, we'll see you guys in our next video.